We are back with Saloon Sports again for this, what is now a Victory Tuesday after the Dallas Cowboys pretty much handily defeated the Kansas City Chiefs in the best defensive effort they've not put in years. And it was a pretty interesting week around the NFL as well. But yeah, we're going to jump right into the game review and what happened pretty much on Sunday to a surprise of a lot of people. And what did you think about the defensive effort? Because Ben, that's kind of the biggest talking point coming out of that game.
Well, I just can't say enough of the job that Rod Marinelli did this past week. Uh, like I said, the best defensive performance I've seen in a while, and I'm very happy to have been wrong in the way I thought that this game would go. Apart from that, into this first half, little mini Hail Mary that they're calling it, we kept Tyreek Hill in check, which was my biggest concern about the game. And also they kept Kareem Hunt. He had a few decent runs in the second half, but by and large they held him in check, and were just able to not let Kansas City do what they normally do offensively. Was very impressed by the pass rush that we were able to get on Alex Smith, especially with minimal guys. Like, we decided to not blitz as much against Smith, and I really thought that was a big key to success.
Yeah, uh, the front four is becoming the strength of the Dallas Cowboys defense, and that coming into the season, I don't think anyone with any reasonable expectations would have thought that, because they are, whether it's Tyrone Crawford, David Irving, Malik Collins, and DeMarcus Lawrence, they're pretty much dominating up front, and people like Brian Price, who might miss the rest of the season, also playing a one technique, and Richard Ash are eating up blocks and freeing up Sean Lee to be Sean Lee, who can diagnose a play from anywhere. And I think that's kind of what the big takeaway from this game is. The tackling was really good. Damian Wilson made a tackle early on in the game on Kareem Hunt. That was like, wow, that's a one-on-one open field tackle, and the defense flowed and it wasn't fits perfectly. And you made that tackle on Kareem Hunt. Sean Lee diagnosed a screen pass where he almost got there before Kareem Hunt did, and just seeing the tackling from Lee throughout the whole entire game, the small plays that go for 2 or 3 yards that could go for 15, 20 yards with a missed tackle that a lot of people don't talk about were there. Sean Lee, I believe, who's getting credit with 16 total tackles. The defense just played really well in that game. And I don't think the Cowboys have played that well on defense against an offense of that caliber in years. I can't. The last game I remember is one of the last time I played the Colts in the regular season when they beat the dog out of Andrew Luck that game. That's the last time I remember dominating performance against offense that could put up points like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And not to sell the offense short either. They showed up when they needed to. They weren't spectacular like they have been in the past, but when we needed them to get in the end zone and put up points, they did. Zeke, 3 yards on 27 carries. And oddly enough, it's kind of a subpar day for him, which I will happily take, especially in the wake of things going on with him and not being able to practice all week. I thought it was very well done on his part. And let's put this out there. Where has this Terrence Williams been? Like 9 catches, 141 yards. Ridiculous. I never decided to learn how to catch without his chest plate.
Yeah, that was his best game of his career, I do believe, numbers-wise, as far as receiving yards-wise. Or it might have been top 3.
Most receptions. It was definitely most receptions.
He would get himself up there, he would make the catches. His best trait is when he gets the ball in his hands and what he can do in the open field, that's when he becomes dangerous. And saw that a lot on Sunday. Double move on Marcus Peters, which led up to the big play, the 50-yard play. And that's also some credit to Scott Linehan. They were not afraid to go after Marcus Peters, who is one of the best corners in the NFL. There's just no denying that. coming off a game where he picked off Trevor Siemian twice. They were not afraid to go after him. They made him cover. So, I mean, yeah, Terrence Williams had a good game. The offense is getting in a groove where they're putting up 28, 30 points every week with regularity, and they can keep doing that. They give themselves a chance to win every single game. If the defense plays like this, not to look too far ahead, but the Falcons this weekend coming up, if they play like that against the Falcons have struggled on offense all year, then that's another win you can get on the road, and I can lose you to 6-3 and your destiny. Cowboys hands at that point, which 3 weeks ago, I think even 4 weeks ago, no one really expected they would be able to say. So now it's a really big game against the Eagles coming the week after. So there's a lot they have to play for right now, and they couldn't ask to be in a better place after the loss they had at Green Bay.
Oh no, yeah, the loss of Green Bay was definitely deflating. But just to see how this team has bounced back since then on both sides of the ball has been very fun to watch. Definitely.
And yeah, I think that's a lot of things that go into like the pass rush has been consistent. That was probably the best offensive line they've seen this year. Well, healthy. You know, Redskins have a really good offensive line, but they're still a little broken. And they still got pressure on them. They only registered 2 sacks, but there was a lot of pressure on Alex Smith. He had to move around a lot, and he didn't really get comfortable. And just their offense was not there. Kelsey had a decent game, 7 catches, I believe, 70-something yards, and he had his touchdown. But other than that, he had about 37 yards. Tyreek Hill, other than the ridiculous just brain lapse play at the end of the first half, we had 1 catch for 7 yards after that. So you pretty much took away their 2 of their 3 biggest weapons and put pressure on the quarterback. That's really all you could have hoped for going into the game. So I mean, I can't say enough about how well the defense played, and Alex Smith threw his first interception of the year to Jeff Heath, who got himself in the perfect position, pretty much ending the game. So the defense needs to. I want to see that defense play every week like that.
Yeah, Jeff Heath made a great move on that play. He definitely read Smith the entire way. It's just, I guess I'm at a loss of words. I was not expecting Dallas to play that well defensively. Linebackers tackled very well. Special teams look good at the same time, especially pinning them back deep. We won the field position battle, which was huge. But on the other side of the ball, offensively, we started to look like we did last year. As far as getting everybody involved, it's like Beasley, who had a pretty big game himself, especially out in the flat, doing what he does there. It just looked great in all facets of the game.
Yeah, there's really not much to critique the team on other than a couple of drop passes, which everyone's attributing to the son. Bryce Butler earlier today got into some arguments on Twitter with a couple of fans, and I'm just like, I kind of wish we'd let Bryce just let that go. Don't respond to those kind of comments. But other than that, one other thing to really comment on these injuries, but it seems like Dez is fine, seemingly. Terrence Williams is running around the locker room after the game, so he's fine. The worrying thing is the groin of Tyrone Smith. You really won't know about him until Thursday, since he never practices on Wednesdays anyway. How he's doing, that's the one to really look out for, because Chaz Green is 1 sneeze away from not being in the lineup, as we've seen since his entire career in the NFL. So that's the one thing we worry about. And they're going to miss the season, so they're probably going to try to bring up Lewis Neal from the practice squad or sign a big one technique off of someone's practice squad to get in there and just be like, hey, eat 2 blocks. That's literally all we want you to do. So other than that, I mean, well, looks pretty good going to play the Atlanta team. Atlanta team who, despite having all their weapons, can't figure it out on offense with Steve Sarkisian. So I'm pretty confident coming into this game if the defense can play like that.
Yeah, definitely, especially with Julio Jones looking a little banged up after the last week's game. Hasn't been able to put it together. Like you said, they spent so much money bringing in this offensive line that was supposed to help the offense grow and be better even than they were last year. But Devontae Freeman's not putting up the numbers that he normally is. Tevin Coleman's he's putting up so-so numbers, but it's still not as explosive as he was last year. You have Sanu doing his thing, but Sanu's really a compliment to Julio. The biggest problem is they haven't been able to get Julio Jones going. A lot of that has been due to injury. So we'll see if that same trend continues into next week. I don't see us really having an issue there. I think we'll be able to take advantage of their defense and be able to keep this train rolling along.
And looking at a couple weeks ago, you just looked at his game and thought it was even though the Cowboys were playing in the rain, like, this is a game they should definitely win. That offense looks bad, especially just looking at the issue that David Irvin was causing it from three technique and getting pressure immediately up the middle. Crawford and Lawrence getting pressures around from the edge. It's just there's a lot of good things coming from this defense right now, and the secondary can still play well. That's all you're asking for. You just have to hope Sean Lee stays healthy for the rest of the season. And with him, if he had played every game this year, Cowboys are probably looking at 7-1, 6-2 at the least. So you just have to hope he stays healthy because he's an underappreciated defensive player in the NFL. Just look at what he does every week. It's just like, wow, he's making a difference for this team and is allowing everything else to look even better because he's there to clean stuff up or something is missed. So there's a lot to be happy about when breaking down that game. And I, for one, that's the first game this year Alex Smith looked like he wasn't comfortable. Even in the games they had lost, the offense was still moving the ball. This game, they played that. Really, if you want to take away that one big play, that 10 points, that's not KC's offense at all. So that was definitely something right.
Yeah, definitely. If you go back and look at the tape, Alex Smith did not really have a clean pocket the whole night. Most of the time he was sidestepping just to try to get the throw off. Most of the time he was able to get the throw off, but the pass rush was definitely getting to him. And at the very least, it was speeding up his internal clock to get rid of the ball.
Yeah, the defensive line is playing outside its mind. It's not just one person. And you kind of like it that way because it's kind of hard to block 3 different people who are getting consistent pressure on your quarterback. And against that Cowboy offensive line, you have to be happy because I can't really think of an offensive line on the rest of their schedule that's going to be as good as the Chiefs' offensive line. So you gotta like their chances of continuing to get that kind of pressure. I mean, the Redskins might have a healthy opportunity to game again, so that might be the one. So
the Eagles have a good offensive line, so we'll see how that matchup goes.
They lost a left tackle, so that might hurt them a bit. So I mean, yeah, that. So it's just a lot of good to look at. Of course, there's the elephant in the room that Zeke's might not play next week or suspension might start, but still, with the way the offensive line is playing right now, you can get a comparable running game and still move the offense because Dak Prescott is playing outside of his mind. So I'm not that worried, even if the suspension comes into play about how the team is going to make on the field. They have talent at running back. They will make it work. I have no doubt about that.
Yeah, I agree. And we touched on it last week when we thought the suspension was actually going to be upheld. Moving forward, ideally, I would just like this suspension to get taken care of as soon as possible so he could be eligible for the playoffs. But I completely understand why he's fighting it, but that's a different that's a different conversation entirely. But to reiterate what you said, if he does get suspended, I don't see it really being an issue.
Yeah, they spent a lot of time. I mean, Zeke wasn't the reason why they won this game. The running game was consistent and it was what it needed to be. There wasn't any big dynamic running plays or hit between Alfred Morris and Darren McFadden and Watson. But you can get that level of production from the running back position. All you would really ask for is about 110 yards between them, and Dak is probably get another 30 or 40 every week. So that's 140 yards of rushing. You can win with that. It's not 200 yards of rushing, but you don't really need 200 yards of rushing to win. If you're getting 200 yards of rushing every week, you're just dominating people. So I think they're going to be fine going forward. And I guess that we can transition to our picks. And I guess that's the big one. It's the only one we differed on is the Cowboys and Chiefs game. I thought Cowboys were going to win, but I definitely thought it was going to be a close game and probably both teams in the 30s. Did not expect the defense to be what they did.
Yeah, I don't think anybody did. I'm certainly glad I gotten that pick wrong, but after this last week, you are sitting at 19-6, and I'm 18-7. So
what
game? A couple of games we got wrong were Skins against the Seahawks, and that was just an incredible finish. I certainly wasn't expecting the Skins to pull that one out last minute, but kudos to Kirk Cousins keeping the heat on us.
And what I can't remember. What was another game? I think we missed 2 or 3.
Yeah, the other one was the Falcons and the Panthers.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And then
that was it?
Yep. I'm sorry. I counted the Bills and the Jets. That was my fault. We didn't count that game. It was Thursday.
Oh, right. I mean, the Panthers have got to be the worst 6-3 team in NFL history because that team is not. They have no semblance of offense whatsoever at this point. And that's why that game is
they do have a semblance. So we saw that semblance on Sunday. Their semblance is, but they need Cam Newton to run for 70 yards, which is not something you can legitimately ask your quarterback to do in the NFL and expect to have that quarterback for the rest of the season.
Yeah, that's why I think the games and Falcons like Cowboys gotta win that one. I don't care if it's on the road to win that game. They're simply not scoring, and it's that simple. Because as of right now, the Cowboys have the second wild card berth in NFC. So if they beat the Falcons, the only other team right now they have a loss that might be in consideration is the Rams. The Rams might tank. I still don't completely believe in them, even after what they did to the Giants. We're going to get to them again later. So I mean, a lot of things looking forward. You have to have a lot of hope going into this game against Atlanta that the Cowboys can continue to play defense the way they have. And they can continue to play offense. And it doesn't look like the Falcons have the defense to really slow down the Cowboys.
No, I don't believe that either. They have Vic Beasley, who's premier pass rush, but he seems to be on an island on that defense. Granted, I haven't looked too much into Atlanta's defense, but from the looks of just casually watching them over the course of the season, nothing they have on defense looks dangerous. I expect us to be able to do what we want to offensively, especially their offensive line against their defensive front as a whole. I don't see us having any type of issue there.
I guess when there were talks around the wild card as well, it's going to be the Detroit Lions. And I'm not that big of a believer in the Lions at all, to be honest with you. They beat the Packers, who have a really bad defense at this point, and with Aaron Rodgers. So But when you look at their offense, they can't run the ball. Like, it's pathetic to watch them trying to run the ball. And I don't really think they'll be able to hold up in that division, and especially considering the Vikings defense. So I think they're going to take off. The Falcons don't know they're going to put it together. The Panthers, I expect to lose a lot more games this season. The Saints are just going to run away with that division. So it might come down to the Seahawks, Rams, Cowboys, and might be those three, really, when it comes down to it. Well, the Redskins are trying to stay around, but they don't seem to have enough to really make noise. They might stick around and make it painful, but well, that's the interesting thing. We're definitely going to find out.
Yeah, definitely. I think the Rams have a little more than what you might expect. I don't think the Seahawks are quite as good on defense as they have been in the past. They're still good, but they don't seem to be making those key turnovers that they have been. So I think that the Rams could push them to the limit and maybe win that division there. As far as the NFC South, I do like the Saints to win out. I just don't like to count out Drew Brees because he can just single-handedly take over a game and win. And they still have a suspect defense, but what the Saints have this year is a run game, which they haven't had. They've had Mark Ingram for a while, but they haven't had the 1-2 punch that they have with Kamara and Ingram. Those two together just give that offense another dimension that teams have to deal with. With the Saints, I mean, I'm not a big Cam Newton fan. I think his character issues, we won't get into that. But as far as a quarterback, he has a lot of shortcomings. But if the Panthers can somehow put together a running game with Jonathan Stewart where he was able to hold on to the ball and maybe Christian McCaffrey is able to run as well rather than just be a glorified wide receiver in the backfield, then it may be asking a lot for Shula to do. I think the Panthers defense has enough there to keep them in the conference title hunt. I think that they could push the Saints to win, not conference, but win their division.
I just know. I mean, that would make the wild card tougher for the Cowboys. I kind of wish at this point that the Cowboys had the Panthers on the schedule because that to me would be like, yeah, you're beating them 9 times out of 10. The NFC South in general just doesn't look to be that good. You have the Saints and you have everybody else. I still don't how the Panthers are 6-3 at this point to me is just shocking. But, it is what it is, and Cowboys are going to be cognizant of them for the rest of the season. But I guess for the rest of the game that happened this week, nothing that shocking. We kind of hit everything right. I mean, a lot of the games on paper were kind of pretty much one-sided, aside from the Colts and Texans was a game of ineptitude when you look at it on paper. But yeah, the Colts were able to pull that one off. Jacoby Brissett getting the Colts their third win. Tom Savage wasn't able to rally the Texans, which should have been expected.
Well, mostly that game was won by T.Y. Hilton. He had 5 catches for 170 yards. It's just he proved to be the better player on the field that day. I mean, the Texans had DeAndre Hopkins on their side, but Savage just proved to why he lost the job to Deshaun Watson in the first game. Like, he's just not that good of a quarterback. And at the same time, the Texans had to scale back their offense to what Savage could run.
Yeah, no read option with Tom Savage.
Yeah.
But yeah, did any other game on the schedule this week stand out to you?
No, not really. Everything else was fairly one-sided. I did catch some of the Lions-Packers game last night. Wasn't really much of a game, but I did like what I saw out of Brett Hundley. Like, he made some very good throws. Ultimately, not enough in his second career start, but he seems like he has a decent mobility in the pocket and could be a good project player somewhere down the road. Uh, not He could be a good project player to become a starter down the road. Maybe not in Green Bay, but definitely in a different organization.
He has the tools, he can move, and it seems like the NFL is moving towards quarterbacks with the ability to run things like the read option and get out of the pocket and protect from the numerous really bad offensive lines in the NFL. They almost need of them at this point. So yeah, I actually didn't think he played as bad as it seemed. They've scaled a lot of the offense back, but he showed that he has an arm, that he can move, and that he's learned some things sitting behind Aaron Rodgers for 2 seasons. So the biggest problem they have with me is their defenses. And we saw during the Cowboys game that defense doesn't really offer much resistance to anyone. Aaron Rodgers covered up a lot of that, but you just can't expect Brett Hundley to do that early in his career or starting career. So yeah, other than that, not too much surprised me off the schedule. Nothing really stood out. The biggest surprise to me, stat-wise, was Terrence Williams having 9 catches for 140-something yards. Like, that was never going to expect that. It's a good surprise, but that's not something you've learned to expect from him. But good for you, Terrence. Well, yeah, I guess that can move us into a topic of discussion where, the Giants they lost 51-17 to the Rams on Sunday, and immediately there were talks of have the Giants quit on McAdoo. Are they gonna bench Eli? I guess the whole topic is this can be centered around the Giants from the offseason until now, and all the decisions that have led them up until this point of ineptitude, pretty much.
Yeah, I don't understand all the talks of sitting Eli. They obviously don't have anything on their depth chart that could even put them closer to winning games at quarterback. Eli has won them 2 Super Bowls. I think the problem is more so in the front office and their inability to put offensive line around Eli, and also their inability to put together a run game for that, and that dates back to 3 or 4 seasons ago. Like, they just haven't had a decent running game that Eli has to complement his ability to spread the ball out to his receivers, mainly Odell, but he does have the ability to spread the ball out like his brother did. But on the other side of the ball, the defense that they shelled out a lot of money for 2 seasons ago just does not look like it. And the Rams really exploited that. Somehow Sammy Watkins became a top-tier wide receiver again, which we won't see anymore this season. But on Sunday, he looked like that. And that just goes to show you how far the Giants season has spiraled.
Yeah, that Giants defense was missing Janoris Jenkins for 1 game, but let's just call it what it is. That's not a defense that should be giving up 51 points. There's something true that they just kind of threw it in. They kind of did. And you can look back a couple of years ago when they decided to pick Justin Pugh in the first round, and I thought, why are you picking Justin Pugh this early? And this past offseason, they looked at their offensive line during free agency. It's like, no, we're good. We don't need anything else. They looked at it during the draft. No, we're good. We'll take Ingram in the first round as a tight end who cannot block and save his life. He's skinny. This is a really tall and heavy wide receiver. So they ran out there with what probably was the worst offensive line in the NFL last year and came back with an offensive line and your old quarterback who's never mobile. And we're expecting to run the football, and then we're expecting to be able to get the ball out to all the targets that they acquired, but not block for them. Question about that. As you said, it comes down to me the front office. And if they're really thinking about benching Eli for Geno Smith, Davis Webb, is like, what do you? Geno Smith has shown that he has limitations at reading defenses, and Davis Webb, do you really want to throw in a third-round draft pick into that? Like, why would you do that? Like, almost all the receivers are hurt. Offensive line is horrible. Can't run the ball. Eli can handle it, but this Davis Webb guy, can he do anything for you? I mean, it's like what I mean. Not that can he do anything for you? He seems really mobile, but does he benefit at all from being in that situation? Pretty much.
Yeah, probably not. Even if you did throw him in there, I don't think he would generate the type of game tape you would want to see to even evaluate him moving forward as a prospect. I think, especially behind that offensive line, it's just going to be a whole lot of
run for your life.
Running for his life. Yeah. I think if you're looking to move past Eli after this season, then by all means do so. But let Eli finish it out, save this prospect, and that way his confidence isn't diminished moving into the offseason. You want to have that riding high going into training camp where he thinks he's going to be the guy, he's trained to be the guy, and then maybe you draft somebody in the draft to give him a little boost. If not, you got some healthy competition moving forward with some young guys, and trade Eli for something in return. Jacksonville is probably a good destination, and Denver at the same time. Why not let the Manning strike twice there? They have their own quarterback issues.
I mean, whoever's making that decision, whether it's McAdoo, which I'm not sure he'd be making that decision, or the general manager making that decision, all they have to do is turn on tape of the 49ers and CJ Beathard. That's what you would have to look forward to if you play Davis Webb. Your quarterback is going to get pounded and pounded and pounded. And what are you really learning from him? Say, hey, you're tough. You can get up after you just got hit 13 times. Other than that, I don't know what they're doing. I mean, to me, it's more to do with the front office. The Cowboys are benefiting from it, but they made some mistakes there. They haven't addressed their offensive line. If they don't decide to address their offensive line this offseason, I would fire like everyone. I would fire the general manager immediately. It's like, what are you doing? Like, just what are you doing? Because I don't know. You're just not putting anyone in a position to win. You can't run the ball, and in this division where you have the Eagles improved, you have the Cowboys with their offensive line and their running game, and you have the Redskins seemingly always hovering around 500 who are competitive. You have to, if you're the Giants, you can't just have you can. What they wanted to build was they wanted to build this elite defense in this offense who could spread the ball around with the passing game and run when they needed to. What it turned into is your offensive line is so bad you can't do anything. And when you get injuries, you're basically looking at who can we blame? Oh, the quarterback. I'm like, what? You're the one who knew your quarterback can't move and did not address your offensive line. Almost everyone that's a receiver that's caught a ball in the NFL is hurt. Do Giants fans expect to win like that? Because they shouldn't. They shouldn't expect to get beat 51-17, but the rest of the year is not going to look good for them, and putting Davis Webb or Geno Smith in at quarterback is not going to help anyone at all, but bring up controversy with Eli. And is that even something you want in the locker room? How's he going to handle that? Or I don't know. There's just a lot of things there that's just a mess. like that. That's the biggest surprise in the NFL is that they're 1-6, 1-7, something like that, and they don't look like they're in any danger of winning more games this season.
No, I don't see them getting any better anytime fast, even when they do get some of the receivers back. Is anyone even eligible to come back, or has a less serious injury that'll make the passing game any type of seem relevant? Dwayne
Shepard
Haskins
came back
might come
this.
back at the end of the year, but still.
I mean, for what it's worth, Shepard came back this week from his injury, and honestly, the way that the season's going, they have no reason to bring back Odell. Just why would you? What are you playing for? Dwayne Harris, I think isn't his foot broken? There would be really no point to bring him back right now either, for unless you want to see if he could be a receiver and see if you're
Right.
gonna work him in more.
But then also looking forward to the off season, they do have Odell's contract to worry about. That's expiring. He's looking for a big deal, so there's a lot to look at for whoever is going to take over the front office job if the GM's in jeopardy. You can't let somebody like Odell walk, so you got to pay him the money. But are you going to restart with a new quarterback, or are you going to keep Eli, who might have 2 or 3 seasons left?
It's not in their best interest to cut Eli. And if they cut him after this season, the dead cap money would be
He's under contract for another 2 seasons, so
his
why
dead
not?
cap.
I would definitely gear up for next year. I mean, I would spend money on free agent market for offensive line, and I'd also probably use my top 2 picks for offensive line as well. Like, you really need to revamp that to give the offense some type of identity.
His dead cap hit if they were to decide to cut him would be 12.4 million. So I don't know. This is good news for Cowboys fans because they've got problems.
Our pass rush, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah, I mean they can go draft another cornerback in the first round, and I'd laugh, but I'd be like, okay, thanks. Um, but yeah, other than the Jaguars being competitive and almost leading their division, the Giants having one win at this point is probably the biggest surprise in the NFL to me. But they did it to themselves, and I guess that's more things that we're going to be talking about on our inside personnel days of how important these decisions are in the offseason and why they should have why average fans should pay even more attention to them because they can literally change the outlook of your season. If your front office decides a weakness isn't that bad of a weakness, despite what any common knowledge would tell you, and whether or not this came down to we're going to pick the best available, well, that's another debate. But Evan Ingram might have been the best available on your board, but you have far bigger pressing needs than that. So yeah, I guess that's really interesting to look at a different team and another team in the division and see what they're doing, as opposed to teams like the Eagles and Cowboys, who the Cowboys made wholesale changes on defense, especially in the secondary, and they're one win away. They win the next 2 games. They're 7-3 and 1 game behind the Eagles for number 1 in their division. So if you're gonna rebuild, just restock. You don't have to completely turn into the Browns to rebuild your franchise like what the Cowboys are doing. They did it in a way to save money, and they don't go spend $100 million, $150 million in the off season for free agents. That if one move like that doesn't work out for you, you're eating a lot of money, and your fans are going to be upset. So I mean, there's different ways to build a team. It's just that the way the Giants decided to go about it, not probably the best route at this point. And they're on schedule to pay a lot of money, and they might not be competitive for the next 2 years if they don't fix it right now.
Yeah, and as you were talking about that, I can't help but make parallels to the way the Cowboys ran things 5-6 years ago before Will McClay and Stephen Jones stepped in to kind of dial back on the overpaying of veterans and getting tied up with those big contracts and weighed down by them, and how we've kind of shifted into more of a draft first type approach to where we fill our major holes with draft and, as needed elsewhere.
Yeah, kind of like the Joey Galloway, Roy Williams, the Keith Brookings, Zach Thomases, I know I'm forgetting something. When they brought in Eddie George, I'm not sure if that was a huge contract. The
Terrell Owens.
That one kind of worked out on field anyway. Kind of worked out, but he put up some big numbers.
But are you really happy that he was a Cowboy?
No, after the star thing. Well,
no, you're not.
After the star thing, I don't think anyone is really all that happy. I still think in most Cowboys fans' minds who have been Cowboys fans for more than a decade, the best moment they can think of Terrell Owens is when George Teague smacked him off the star and he got kicked out, and George Teague got kicked out the game.
Yeah, it's still my favorite T.O. moment.
That was a bad day. Darren Woodson got kicked out of that game. George Teague got kicked out of that game. Emmett scored a touchdown, and he for the only time I can ever remember Emmett showing emotion after a touchdown, he goes out to the star. But I was like, wow, Emmett's kind of celebrating it. Emmett's sending an exclamation point. That's not Emmett Smith's MO at all. But T.O. was a big contract. He didn't win him a Super Bowl, which I think was the motivation behind that. And that divided the locker room. There's got to be some more big deals out there that I'm not remembering off the top of my head. Safety. Ken Hamlin? Is that his name?
Yeah.
That was a big money. I don't want to get too far into that one, but yeah, that's
just big contracts about Brandon Carr.
He played every game at least.
He played, but doesn't mean he played well.
Yeah. I mean, that can start into the conversation of like, would you have rather kept Brandon Carr, or would you have rather just went and got Nolan Carroll, who's not even on the team anymore? I kind of at that point was like, yeah, maybe we should have kind of kept Carr.
It would have cost less.
That's true. No one was expecting Carroll to be that bad, but he was, and he's no longer a Cowboy. So yeah, there's a lot of. That's just some of the ones that took off the top of your head. You can just mention all the big money deals that kept. Whoa, another one, former Cardinal guard, big dude, really big dude. No, former Cardinal.
Larry.
Who? I'm forgetting his name. But they spent a lot of money on a former Cardinal guard years ago to try to fix the offensive line when Tony Romo was getting there. It was like, we need to hurry up and fix this offensive line. Let's spend money on this busted tackle from the Cardinals who we're going to make into a guard. And I guess it's kind of worked out a bit. I cannot remember his name to save my life. I can't remember his name. He's a gigantic human being. That's all I can remember. But yeah, the Cowboys were in that MO. We're going to spend a lot of money on free agents and hope that works. Will McClay comes in and somehow managed to change. I don't know what conversations he had with Jerry Jones to make that happen, but he must be a master of negotiation and handling egos for that to have worked. Because it all happened overnight, similar with the DeMarcus Ware thing. And it was like, let's not overpay DeMarcus Ware. And usually Jerry would have been like, of course, we're going to sign DeMarcus Ware. He's DeMarcus Ware. He's been in college forever. He's going to be in the Ring of Honor. Sign him to whatever he wants. And then it was like, nah, we're not going to resign DeMarcus Ware. And they did not. And he goes and wins the Super Bowl. And yeah, but
at the time, our defense had more holes than DeMarcus Ware could have filled.
Oh yeah, that defense was true. Was that was the year they were running 14 different defensive linemen during the course of the season? That was so sad. And that team went 8-8. Thanks, Romo. You managed to get that defense to 8-8. Like, that guy does not get enough credit for what he did as a Cowboy and what he had to put up with as a Cowboy. But yeah, I guess that's pretty much all that we had scheduled for today. I still can't think of that guard's name. But yeah, I mean, that's what tomorrow we got the inside personnel. We'll get into some things there and look more at what we're going to be planning for the offseason. I might have some announcements coming up as well with that, and all social media should be up this week. And we're also going to start trying to get everything on podcast as well, so we'll be able to hear us on a number of different platforms, and so we can start spreading the word about the show and everything. So yeah, definitely got a lot of good stuff to look forward to.
Yeah, no doubt. Really looking forward to putting ourselves out there more.
Yeah. And that is all for Saloon Sports today. And we'll be back with you tomorrow to go with our inside personnel segment.